Hello and welcome to another episode of the Backbar Podcast. We are back with the regular viewing. We have a guest on for later, but for now, we're going to speak about our lives because the Backbar boys were out on a night out, a little bit of a party. So, yes.
Finally,
Uh,
2 and a bit years in, and we finally get our first funny out.
So yes, myself, Skywalker, Gemmel, and Minnie, we were tearing it up. And the funniest thing about the whole night out was that we were in the nightclub dancing, drinking, partying, and I was like, it's only 10 o'clock. I was like, that can't be right. No, I honestly thought it was about 3 in the morning. So, but
Yeah.
yes, we
Like
tore it
a
up like the
nightclub, a
old days.
nightclub for old people. They start at like 8:30.
I tell you something, it's absolutely the way forward. Like
Oh.
that was a perfect flow. A few beers in the house, went
Yeah.
for a nice wee steak, well, big steak, very nice.
That's a nice
Into
steak.
dancing by what, 8:30? And it
Yeah.
was good time. That's
I still didn't get.
perfect
I still
mindset.
didn't get back to your house though until about 3 in the morning.
I
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So
It took
someone
me about.
still has his smoke, one or two smoke bombs left that he can drop. But the funniest thing was we're all going to go together, and I said I need to go for a pee before we go. So I came back, and I think you just took it that we're going now. So it's like, did someone say we're going? Oh.
I don't even remember that bit.
I was fucked, man. But it
Oh.
was it was so worth it though, and it's bizarrely, I just felt a bit tired the next day. I wasn't super hungover, which
It wasn't too
I
bad.
deserved a hangover. Like I deserved a serious hangover. But yeah, it was good fun. And
Of
in
course,
fairness,
it's a good
a night
night.
out was pushing it. We had a late evening out.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, it was like 2 in the morning, big guy. I
was
don't know. Maybe you smoke
it's
bomb
like
a little
half?
bit earlier than
I
I thought.
think you must have left about between 1 and 1:30.
Yeah.
I would say
I
it was
guess.
at least 25-2 again, but
I have.
Semantics.
I know. So,
like good
but
times, man.
it was good to get the old school night out and just cause
So
it
it
like it's 1999.
shows how long it is since I've been out to that time that I was standing outside McDonald's in Jamaica Street downloading the Uber app. Fuck's sake.
No way.
Look, waiting for
Um,
a tram up the road tonight.
It was 1950 last time I was out
I
that
know.
way.
Get someone steal someone's bottle of milk off their
Aye.
driveway or something.
Where's the horse and carriage stance?
I thought I dropped the pickup pin like quite much outside the McDonald's. And it's like your Uber is nearly here, and I'm looking around and I was like, I can't see that. Looked in the map and I was like, that's over the other side of the bridge.
Oh
I've got
no.
like half-mile walk to go and get.
Taxi driver's
That's
like, I ain't
mad.
coming to you, you come to me.
Yeah.
Just walking down Steaming, go, that used to be Woolworths.
I think there was there an Azad video in there.
Or global video.
That used to be Stepek. They used to sell
Uh,
hybrid in there.
I think I actually remember what do you call it, like global video. Oh no, was it video drive through? It had sun tanning thing, tanning booths. So you'd actually go in, get a sunbed, and actually rent a DVD at the same time. It's
You
awesome,
should
loved
fucking
it.
bring them back. That sounds
I know.
amazing.
It's go and get a sunbed and a DVD. But a friend of mine, I can't name names, but everybody knows who it was. Worked in said video store and gave out free sunbeds and free DVDs. And his employment was terminated when we all ended up just losing all the DVDs, and the electricity bill was through the roof, and he had about 2 quid. So,
You're all
yeah.
walking about like 17 shades darker.
I know he's only got about 2 quid in the machine. So
Jeez.
yeah, but that was the days of suntans and blonde hair.
Oh yeah. Well,
So, but apart from the night out, how are my boys doing?
aye.
Good,
Getting there.
mate. Good.
Getting there.
It's springtime now officially. Apparently, we actually had this debate with our family of like, is it a certain day in March? But apparently March is officially spring. So
Tell that to the frost in my fucking
I
window.
know. Well, it was actually starting to snow actually just earlier there, but I don't know.
It was snowing
It,
here.
the world's fucked up anyway, so
Exactly.
it doesn't surprise me in one bit. What they call it, the Arctic blast.
So not
So
it's see the thing is I either want no snow, just nothing, or I want beats from the east.
hmm.
I want snow that keeps me at home and is I can make snowmen slide through the snow, enjoy it, or
I
just
just
fuck off.
I hate snow. Just the amount of whining and bitching for people. Like, all the roads are a bit too messy. Oh no, I don't like it. Oh, shut the fuck
So it's
up.
not even that. It's like
not
we stay in
everyone's got a Ford
Scotland.
fucking Ranger, all right?
Well, that's their fucking problem, isn't it?
The thing is,
So,
we live in Scotland, right? This happens every year. Like you'd think
I
we'd be
know.
better prepared, right? I know it's not fucking Iceland, right? But like, oh my God, we get 2 inches of snow.
I
All the
know.
trains have stopped. Like
It
cables
drives me
were like
fucking
fucking
nuts every time. So, but
anyway.
I must be getting old now that I'm bitching about the weather. But anyway,
This podcast losing steam fast, lads.
I know.
We should maybe
Well,
just keep this moving.
yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll talk about what we've got on tonight. So we do have a guest for tonight. We've got an Irish lad who started his career in rugby. He actually played under 19s and under 20s Irish rugby, and then did a bit of traveling. Played some international rugby in Europe and over in the States. Actually qualified through residency to play for the States, and then decided to flip it on its head and jump into American football as a place kicker. So yes, we are going to be talking to Tadhg Leader. Hopefully, I've pronounced that
Right.
right.
That's right.
So yeah,
Aye.
maybe
You.
me. Check
And
me. Did you see that?
we've also got a wee back bar first tonight as well. We're
We
going to
do.
have video footage as
Mm,
well
Mm.
tonight
it's
as an
good for.
extra incentive. So if you're on Spotify, get off Spotify and get over to
Hop
YouTube.
onto YouTube.
Otherwise, you're just
Uh,
there talking shite about something you can't see, which is really rubbish. But
Yeah.
let's just hope the video share goes better than the last time we tried that. So
And then we delete our video. But let's just, we might not want to brag about going onto YouTube too soon until Tig's had a wee look at it and maybe given some compliments. You don't know, they might be of like, holy shit, that's fucking terrible, terrible
I
efforts.
see 3 scholarships in our future, lads. That's
Okie dokie. So anyway, well, what we'll do is we'll see what Tig's got to say for it and get his opinion on Three Amigos. So let's get him
yeah.
cool.
on. Warm welcome
Let's do it.
to the charismatic and multi-talented former rugby and American football player. Welcome, Tadhg Leader. How are you, sir?
Doing very well, lads. Delighted to be able to chat after it took a while to get it set up, but I'm delighted to be on and have a bit of crack with you.
Oh, yeah.
Worth the wait. Worth the wait. And well, big round of applause to Ali there for getting the pronunciation right as well.
That's it. I was just saying that my wife is Irish and I had to get the pronunciation. I must admit I was practicing it for about at least half an hour last night. So, but it's probably the first one I've got right in a while.
Is that what it is? Was it just repeating the name? Was the kid's bedtime
Yeah.
story last night?
I know we had it just you can just get so confused. Tiger. It's just the spelling is crazy. Like I don't know if like people look at Scottish names and think Alistair's a weird name, but oh, Jesus, like
I don't think you can use that as an excuse. I think you were struggling to get Kieran Smith's name right. Don't start
well,
that.
there's Scottish names. There's a Kieran, Kieran, and
Yeah.
Kinnan or something like that. So there is like also many. Anyway, sorry, we're getting off topic. But anyway, at least nice to have you on anyway.
Yeah, no, it's as I said, just looking forward to chatting with you, lads. I don't think I've chatted with a group from your neck of the woods, so I'm looking forward to it.
There you go.
Lower the bar a wee bit, mate.
I know. I don't know if the expectations level is on there. Well, what we'll do then, we'll see what we've got in store for you. So, John and Minnie are going to fire some questions over at you, and we'll just see where it takes us.
Let's get going then. Let's get going. So, looking at your rugby and American football career, you're pretty well travelled. With started back home in Ireland, then off to Italy, then you dotted around a few different places in the States and a wee stint in Canada. What's I mean, obviously, sport aside, is there anywhere in particular out of all the places you've been across your career that stood out as your kind of favorite place to be or your favorite place you visited?
Yeah, two things come to mind. First one's really obvious. Played in San Diego, so that's obviously
Nice.
that's yeah, like that's probably no surprises there, is there? Minus having to slap on the sunscreen all the time. I remember at the start of the preseason we all got the nice singlets and all the lads are delighted. But I remember I was there kind of thinking, Jesus, I'm gonna have that's just more baseline to be covering. But minus that was class. But in American football, I actually I'm sure we get into it, but I played in the European League a year and a half ago. And I signed randomly. There was a team. It's mostly German and Spanish, but there was a team in Poland. So I spent like 6-8 weeks playing there. Yeah, and is it Wrocław? It was called in Poland. I knew nothing about Poland. I didn't. Anyway, it was class. It was class, and had a great time there. So that was a really nice surprise. But yeah, San Diego will top the list just for all the obvious reasons.
Actually, that spot in Poland, is that not where we were for your stag alley?
I think so. It's something like €10 for a litre bottle of vodka or something like that. So
Yeah, the big square, the big town square and stuff. Wrocław. Yeah. I might have had a different experience to you now if you were just flying in for the weekend. But it was I was there in like September. I think it was September. I remember the place was class, and it was like well, again, I guess you saw it. So but yeah, it was just surprising. I don't know. It was just way better than I expected, and the people were sound. And I guess I was there for sports, so I had a bit of a community naturally as you get it. So I got to probably see a lot of different things versus probably just knocking around a few pubs and grabbing pints and then hopping back on a flight out the other direction.
Yeah.
You
probably got into more of the culture.
Yeah, see, you're describing the square, and I was like, going to not say any more because I've got nothing for this conversation. Like, you could have told me there was a fucking Eiffel Tower in the middle of Poland. I had no idea, man. So no, that's good. So we played Europe, played America, Italy as well. Whereabouts were you in Italy?
Town Rovigo. That was the spot. What's that? Like, it's kind of, we weren't far from Treviso. It was like maybe an hour or so drive from Treviso. It was a small rural town. That was the first time I left Ireland, and I've only moved back recently. So it's been probably like a 10-year jaunt around different spots. But that was a short-lived journey because my shoulder was goosed from when I left Connacht, and I didn't get it. I was trying to chase professional rugby, and I was going to go over to the UK and was looking at like championship clubs just to try and continue playing because I was only like 22 now at the time, so I was young. So I needed a place to go play rugby, and then I remember my agent said, "How about Italy?" I remember thinking, actually, that sounds pretty class. To be honest, I like it better than like Rotherham or something like that. So yeah, it went out there, but that was unfortunately it was short lived because I said that I had to go get a shoulder surgery. But like culturally, it was class to. I didn't speak a lick of the language either, so a lot of kind of point. You can imagine playing fly half and not really being able to converse at all. But no, that was good crack and kind of gave me the bug that like there's more outside Ireland, say, so that then stayed on the move thereafter.
Nice.
So just going back to the rugby stuff, right? So tells me a bit about the time at Connacht. How was that, like, as a young guy coming through into what's now a bit of a powerhouse team in the championships? How did you kind of settle in? What was the experience like?
Yeah, it was gas because I saw the transition from being not very good.
You can swear on here.
Okay, Sam, because it's definitely gonna. I should have asked that off air because I've usually made that error a few times. Well, not error, but Anyway, yeah, Connacht not being very good through to obviously they won the Pro 14. So that kind of transition period for me, it was like I would live 5 minutes down the road. Always kind of grew up wanting to be involved there, and it was gas because looking back now, I view it differently. But like 7 or 8 of us were brought in at the age of 15, where we trained summertime, any school holidays. We trained literally full time, from Monday to Friday during the summer, and then as I said, the school holidays. And you had like a big group of like say 40. You would train the odd time, but the 8 of us were brought in. So I was there, like, it felt like when I left at like 22, 23, it felt like I was just like, I was sick of the place. Just because it had been a long old time. So at the time I loved it, but just looking back, I remember when I got older, I was like, geez, I can't wait to see the back of this place. Cause it was kind of all I knew for ages. Hence why when I said I went to Italy, I was like, oh wow, there's a lot more going on than the sports ground in Galway. But again, going back to at the time, loved it, class. And then you kind of progress through the ranks, and it was, it was for quite a few years. It was you're in a system and you're into the academy, and it's all kind of done for you. As long as you don't mess up too much, you're kind of you're progressing. So was when I moved to American football, I realized like how much my hand was held in rugby. Like there's a real obvious pathway, and you just kind of jump on it and you just stay on it. Where the signposts are obvious. Then when I moved sports, I realized, oh shit, like I'm coming to the road, and I'm coming. That kind of became really clear. But now contest class, and probably one of the coolest things was being able to see the year before they won. And I have a brother there as well. My brother's a year younger than me. And the year before the Pro 14 win was Pat Lamb's first year in Connacht. Yeah, it was his first year. And I was still like 2021, just kind of, training full time with the first squad. And it was really cool about that experience was I remember the year before they won the league, Monday through Friday, Pat would just do like, it was all ball skills, like just skills, like catch pass skills all the time, and the different say waves, the different kind of depths that we could play at. And then when it come to a Saturday, do you remember a guy Dan Park? Oh shoot, Dan Parks. Yeah. So I remember he was like the marquee, or he's at his end of his career. And I remember he would, and the Saturday then, the plan was just bang it in the sky and kick the ball away. So the total opposite of what was being done Monday to Friday. And then the following season, at that point, I was off in Italy. I was actually in Alaska trying to tune into the final, which randomly. But anyway, that following season was when the catch pass stuff was all rolled out, and obviously was like highly successful. So it was really cool to see like the implementation 12 months in advance of the on field, how it worked. Anyway, I got into some coaching in the US, so that was really cool to see like a coach kind of lay out a plan 12 months in advance and how that, in fairness, actually worked. So yeah, that's very
interesting hearing that side of it, I guess, because
absolutely,
like it's almost like he's been like, we're just going to train that way. We'll do what we do on Saturday. It doesn't matter what happens this season on the pitch.
Yeah,
at the weekend, but that means next season you can actually. Yeah, that's quite cool to hear that.
Yeah, especially in cutthroat, because everything's results driven, right? So to actually take 12 months to say, it doesn't really fucking don't care what happens. We've got a plan that will mature in that time. I think it'd be really difficult to see that nowadays. Like, you lose 3 in a row, and the questions are getting asked straight away. So
yeah.
The results. I'm trying to think of the results. They definitely were like they were okay, but they weren't great. Like they're definitely not. But he was clearly given the leash. Hey, like obviously that was part of his pitch or whatever, and we did the job interview. But yeah, it was just I would that work today? Probably like as you said, the results side of things definitely more ruthless. But it's the idea like how like planned it all without us knowing it. We were just kind of, geez, we're doing a shitload of passing here Monday to Friday, and then just belting the ball down the pitch. But it was to see that, and just I guess because lads weren't ready, right? Lads weren't ready. The skill set wasn't there to do it. So it took like literally we had a ball, and when you'd walk to again Monday through Friday, when you walk into the gym, walk into meetings, literally get out of your car. You had your ball in your hand, so everyone had their own ball. So it was constantly, no pads in one hand and your balls in the other. And if you didn't, you get fined. Different things, and on the ball, people had to kind of write down, maybe different what's their why or whatever different kind of triggers or whatever it is on the physical ball. But so you always had a ball in your hand, walking from meetings, walking from gym, walking to your car, just like that was just a thing that you had to do cultural. And I think he actually brought that to Bristol, and I remember reading in the newspaper that a few of their guys, I think was it Tom Varndell or something like that, I remember reading a few of their kind of older guys at the time were like, no, like what are you talking about? I'm not doing that. But a Connacht didn't have any big dogs, so you shut up and do what you were told, or they could do the
job. I guess from the sports you've played, GAA, obviously rugby, American football, what's been your favorite sport to play, just from like a pure enjoyment standpoint?
Division 3 rugby in America. It was the best crack, because I never experienced. I was like 25, 24, and I'd gone over to the US, got my shoulder surgery, and I'd never played like just proper social rugby. There'd always been a performance element to it. So I remember that it was like I was coaching the team, so I enjoyed that. And I obviously copied a lot of what Pat did, and it was good crack. We went on to win the national championship in the US. So we're traveling all over the country, winning by 50, 60 points every weekend. And then socially, pints on a Thursday, pints after the game on a Saturday, maybe even midweek. And just, it was proper social. And I was like, this is class. Like, so yeah, easily that jumps to mind straight away as the most fun I've had in sport. Because just there was the pressure to, again, I don't appreciate the level was obviously low, but just the pressure to perform, which just wasn't there. So you could just like a lot more just fun. Because when I left Connacht, rugby was not fun at all. So that kind of reignited my love of the game, which then kind of got me back in. I decided to go back in and obviously play for another, say, 5 years full time. But it was because of that experience playing low level amateur rugby gave me the kind of thing. I was like, you know what, I actually do enjoy this. Just try and not put too much pressure on yourself and have a bit of fun with it versus kind of see it as a business.
So would that be like mostly like American guys that are into rugby, or would it be like expats that are over there playing rugby?
There was probably, I think you'd only have 5 foreigners, which they're all Irish lads, and 2 of them were actually my mates from nearby that randomly were doing the master's degree in different colleges. It was really random how it all played out, but our team, like, they played Ireland underage and stuff, so our team was very good. But it was 80% Americans, and then what I loved about it was the Americans were like, they're just known for being kind of good athletes, and we had a lot of ex-football, like just big men that had played like Division 1 football, that they just thought rugby was just a sport where you could just take lads' heads off. And I remember just being like, nah, we're not. We're like, I remember kind of like, because I learned so much from Pat and saw how, not that but just around the skill development, say. I remember like being every training was like, we weren't doing contact, plus I didn't like contact, so I was a coach now, so I could do what I wanted. So we're just
I'd love to play for that team.
Just skills, just like catch pass skills all the time. And it was class to see from like a pretty poor level of it that everyone, I would say to lads, if we can all catch past 5 meters under pressure, like me and the other guys will do the bigger picture stuff. If you can all just give a little tip pass and catch pass under pressure to some degree, we'll rip through everybody. And it was class to see that, like, the skill development, which is why I like coaching so much now, is because when you actually see it kind of click and work. So yeah, the American lads definitely got the rap for just being kind of mutants, say. Some of them were, but yes.
That's actually John and I done a tour of America back in 2006. So still young, fresh faced, less cynical than we are these days. But we were playing sevens against all the different unis, and we found that the same. The guys that we were playing against were fucking massive, like these big units. And I wouldn't say we're physical specimens. We're good-looking guys.
What's that got to do with rugby?
No, listen, right, we were coming up
a lot.
Yeah.
And they were all absolutely huge, and we were like, we're going to get absolutely thumped here, but they weren't very good. And we were decent enough rugby players that we actually got by until we hit Florida State.
I was going to say,
we played 1 game of sevens, so 14 minutes, and we lost, 76-0?
Something like that.
Honestly,
it's hilarious.
The problem is, like, we built up this bit of arrogance, so we turned up with a can of beer ready for the game. These guys are sitting with their iPods in, sitting like fucking The Rock, like getting themselves up for this game, and I'm like, they think they're playing Scotland. Honestly, it was crazy.
I remember after that first game, because there was one of the lads in our team who's a physical player. And at the beginning of the game, he absolutely leathered into someone. And I turned around to one of the American lads on the side and said, told you he was a big hitter. Turned back round. He was actually then on his arse, and the guy just got over the top of him. I was like, no.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Then we played touch, and we absolutely schooled them because they could just batter us.
So it just made sense that we're not very good at the physical side. We
were about a week into a 2-week rugby/drinking tour, so we're probably a bit low on energy by that point.
That's true, but it's interesting. So how did you end up over in America? Because we've actually spoken, we had Glenn Bryce and Adam Ash on, who were playing for the Giltinis. There's quite maybe a synergy with the rugby over in the States. So how did you end up over there playing for San Diego?
So I went over different to those guys. When I left Italy and got my shoulder up, I was like, okay, I think I'm done with full professional rugby. Because as I mentioned, I wasn't enjoying it. So I hadn't studied. I hadn't been to college, so it was like I'd always had a bit of an interest in America. So I remember just emailing a few colleges just that I could give rugby scholarships, and was like, "Hey, any chance? Like, well, I was still obviously going to have to play rugby to get the scholarship, but not in a professional way." So I just emailed some universities, and I emailed one in Missouri. Never heard of Missouri, knew nothing about Missouri, but the coach like called me within 10, 15 minutes of sending that initial email. He's like, "Look, we'll give you like pretty unheard of, pretty much in rugby you don't really get full scholarship. People get scholarships, but they don't get like everything. And I pretty much got pretty much got everything. Because I had a decent CV for 23, say at the time. Yeah, around that. So I was like, yeah, fuck, I'm going to go to Missouri. They also had it wasn't much more than that. It was like, I can get my degree. I think it would be a bit of crack to go over to the US. So I went, like that's just how it happened initially. And get this, so I get over there, maybe 6 months later, because I had the op, so I was recovering. But once I played my first game, we played against the Ivy Leagues in the US, your Dartmouth, Yales, Harvards. So we went and took literally actually those three colleges. We went to play Dartmouth, Yale, and Harvard. And rugby is quite. I think rugby started in the US and Harvard and stuff. So they're it's somewhat common there. So we go over to play them. Our first game was against Dartmouth. I remember we scored like 102 points or something like we hammered them because we had rugby scholarships. So all these Dartmouth boys are all high end academic lads who come from really wealthy families, kind of thing. Whereas we were a bunch of like Irish, New Zealand lads, not the most intelligent guys in the world, but we also rugby as a way to get into college. So we absolutely pumped them. And then literally the next week, we're trying to play our next games, and multiple US college coaches had all come together and flagged me and submitted an appeal or submitted something to USA Rugby. Like lawyers and stuff got involved. But basically I was banned and never played another game of rugby for the college. Because they said I couldn't. Yeah, they said I couldn't play because of my. It wasn't fucking fair now, but I was okay. But it's because of my background having come through Connacht and stuff that I shouldn't be allowed to play collegiately. So I never played a game again. But the best part of all this was my scholarship was worded as academic. So within my scholarship, because I got so much from the school, they couldn't give me a rugby scholarship because rugby didn't give that as much as I got. So they gave me, they had loads of academic incentives in there. The incentives weren't that high. So as long as I was like a half decent student, I ended up keeping my scholarship for the duration of my degree. Got my degree from there. I never played a game for them again. So it's probably Yeah, so that was a bit of a nightmare at the time, but it turned out to be blessing because it was the blessing in disguise, as they say, because I got to coach that team I told you about. I wouldn't have got to play for them otherwise, and I became a rugby agent for maybe a year. I wouldn't have been able to do that had I been playing. So and plus I just had time off to have a bit of crack. So yeah, it was great.
That's insane, but also gives you bragging rights. I was actually too good to play rugby. I was just too good. Like that's a brilliant story. That's ridiculous.
It worked out. Definitely, it worked out for me. Well, because that college, because they took it seriously. Like I remember the first day kind of getting there, and I was like, there's going to be a big step down from say Connacht. But I remember they had more GPS vests than Connacht had. Connacht had like 5 GPS vests at the time. Everyone had 15. They had like the drone and the SNC and all that kind of stuff. But they had the whole shebang because the rugby coaches were full time. So. I remember being like, "Oh shit, this is gonna be a little bit more full on than I probably thought I was getting myself into." So anyway, for all those reasons, it was great. It was great. I didn't have to play, and my body, obviously, I saved my body a little bit as well. Which at 31, I turned 31 a few days ago. I definitely appreciate I'm happy I didn't do more damage. Say.
Yeah.
And then you got a few years at an American college paid for. I mean, that can't have been too bad wandering around socializing with that Irish accent.
And I was just about to say, only Irish people can fucking wing that. Scottish people, we get fucking put in jail for 4 years or something like that. Deported with a stamp tattooed onto us or something. Only Irish people can just be like, sure, fuck it, I'll do another 4 years and get a free degree for nothing. It
was class. It was honestly my brother, when he retired from Connacht there 2 years ago, first thing he did was straight over to the US to study because I was like, Dara, like it's unreal. It's unreal. So Yeah, no, I looking back on it, I probably didn't appreciate how lucky all those things were. Like, I didn't mean like if my scholarship was worded as academic. I remember the coach told me, he goes, "You'd be turfed out the door. Like, no chance we'd be, because obviously it's money going to this lad that's not playing versus someone was."
Yeah.
But like, I didn't intentionally say, "Hey, word is academic." They just have to do, just things just kind of worked out that way, and I was obviously going to take advantage of it. So yeah,
Oh, why not? Eh?
Exactly.
yeah.
So what was it then?
Minnie's sitting there raging. It's like, I
The thing is, I
fucking
would have
hate
got chucked
you.
out regardless. I would have been chucked out. Like, it wouldn't have been for being too good at rugby. I'll tell you that. I wouldn't be that. So I'm okay with
You'd have found your way out of there somehow.
that. Yeah.
What was it then after, I guess, the MLR stint? So you were with San Diego and then you went up to New England. What was it made you decide to, I guess, switch paths onto the American football, the kicking?
During COVID, everyone had always said to me in rugby that you look a pretty good kicker. And I was like, yeah, I never took it serious. Oh, like, you should try American football. Never took it seriously, just because Major League Rugby was growing quite well.
Hmm.
And then I became American eligible. Or I was about to become American eligible. That was another difficult period of world rugby. But anyway, I knew I was going to become American eligible, so I knew there was a chance to get caps and play international rugby. So, I never took that, hey, you could be good at American football thing seriously, until
Yeah.
COVID came along. And then it was just, I was coaching a team in Boston rugby, and one of the lads was he played rugby, but he was a high school kicking coach, or I wasn't kicking coach. He was the high school football coach, and he just had a bag of balls one day, and I just went, "Hey, any chance, do you mind if I bang a few of those?" And then went from that to I'd signed on for my team. It was during COVID, but the team was kind of putting in place for whenever this COVID thing would end. So I'd signed on. I was the captain, and then I started kicking footballs, and then fast forward, I don't know, maybe initially it was just like, oh, I'm just going to get better at kicking for rugby, to then like, oh, in my own head was like, maybe this, I was encouraged to try more and more. And then
Hmm.
within a couple of months, I remember to call my team and say, listen, actually, remember that American football thing I was doing for the crack? I'm actually retiring from rugby now. I'm moving to San Diego to play American football. So they were kind of like,
Mad.
what are you talking about? But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a very condensed version of that.
Yeah. Wow. Right.
That's amazing. Like, that's the thing. Like, you always think that there's that correlation between like place kicking and then American football, even with the punting and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's always surprising that there's not been more rugby players that have made the transition over, because you think it's a similar skill set. I'm sure you're going to prove me wrong that it's not the same, but you'd think the mechanics are quite similar.
Yeah, like at surface level when you first start, yeah. But the hardest thing about it was American coaches and the American stuff is like so traditional. Which, remember, I was talking about the pathway at the start of the call. Like, it's very much high school, college. College is the main thing. You play in college, and that's where you're assessed. And that's where everything happens.
Hmm.
And that's like the testing ground. Then if a very tiny percentage go to play professionally, and obviously there's so many people play American football, and there's only like 2 or 3 leagues to play professionally in the world. There's a massive drop off rate. But the reason why I say it was quite hard is because the traditional point of thing is American coaches, they're so traditional around the pathway, but also like how you swing your leg. Like I couldn't believe it. Some of these coaches, I'd be at 50, a good distance back, and would bang it over, and then the coach would be like, oh, you rolled your left ankle, which means instead of skipping forward on my plant foot, I would which most rugby guys do this, that you might notice now that I say it, they kind of roll their ankle. So they kick and their left ankle would drag for a split second, and then it would come back to ground. It happens. Don't even see it. And a lot of coaches just literally disregarded me because of my kicking form. They said, unless you get that sorted, like, we can't look at you. And I was just
It still went over.
mad. And I'm mad. Like, it was that was like, I didn't realize what I got myself in until I got into it properly. At this point, I'd already said good luck to rugby. I made loads of progress really quick, just because the natural crossover from rugby to American football. But then when I started looking at it, really seriously, they dissect everything. And little things like that were coming up. Or in rugby, you might notice we kick and we swing, and our swing kind of stops between like our kind of between knee and hip height, and then your foot comes back to ground. Or if because that's just we're taught to kick through the ball, you stay moving through the ball. So you don't get this big elongated swing. But American football, they like to see kickers' legs go up past their hip, even to their chest height. And I wasn't going there because I didn't have that range of motion because I never done it before. And even though I kick it over,
I'm already just thinking about that. Like I'm getting tight.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's so different. It's so bloody different. And America, they just think they're best at everything, right? So then it's kind of like, well, so yeah. Anyway, I'm not even sure what the question was, but those things piss me off a lot.
That's brilliant.
That's crazy. Cool. So I suppose that leads us into the new venture. So you're leader kicking. So tell us a wee bit about what you're doing, what you've got going on just now.
Yeah. Basically, when I was going through my kind of learning the sport and going through the ranks, I kept seeing like the first thing I noticed was my very first day kicking. I moved out to San Diego. Once I knew I was going to try to do this, I had to move to San Diego because that's where all the NFL current and free agents and coaches are, because obviously the weather's grand, so it's a nice place to go kick. I remember the first day kicking, the lad in front of me, punting. The lad in front of me banged a punt, and then I go up after and I bang a punt, and they're quite similar. And then one of the guys is kind of like, "Geez, you're hanging in there really well with John." And I was like, "Yeah, fair." Kind of whatever. And turned out that he'd won a Super Bowl with Seattle 2 or 3 years earlier. His name's John Ryan. I remember just being like, "Oh, Jay, I knew nothing. I knew nothing." To be honest, I wish I kind of the less I knew, the better. Because that kind of way. Because no, not that like he was a way better than me, but just that we hit a ball back to back, and it was reasonable. So anyway, I remember going home that day and thinking like, Jesus, like if we could do this, we being say Irish lads, Gaelic football, soccer, rugby players, if we could like do this earlier, like we could be very bloody good. Like we could be very good and like making progress in the sport. So at that point, anyway, day one was like this. I wish this existed for us earlier. And then I started meeting a load of Australians. There's like 110 Australian punters in college now in America. And they're all AFL rugby. Yeah, loads. And there's probably like 7 or 8 in the NFL as well. There's a few in the NFL punters. But anyway, maybe 10, 12 years ago, they set up a punting academy. I know, over $45 million of scholarship money they've gotten. And Australian lads have gone over to the US. It's phenomenal. So I started seeing all these Aussie lads, and I was kind of like, shit, we're the same. We're just closer to America than you are. Like, why? Like, honestly, this is the business model. So I just
like, sure, we'll get there before you.
Yeah. Like it was all kind of there, and I just need to try and connect the dots a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's how it was born, and it's gone class. It's gone really well. Like people just naturally, because like we love kicking. Like lads, you go for a kickabout with your mates, whatever sport it is, or before rugby training, everyone's kicking, aren't like. Yeah. Everyone's just kicking. So it's kind of like, well, if you can bang a ball pretty well consistently, you can actually get a scholarship that's worth 200 or 300 grand, get a phenomenal education, play college football, which is mega. And like, if you guys, I guess, might have seen a little bit like the scale. Like, I equated the Premier League in terms of the scale of college football that you're, right now, for example, guy I was coaching 6 months ago, never kicked a ball. Now he's on the verge of signing a university called Vanderbilt. They're like the 13th best college in the country academically, but they 3 or 4 times a year they play in front of over 100,000 people. And we're hoping that that's going to work out soon. So like it's class. It's like kind of a life-changing thing. So anyway, that's how that kind of came about, and it's been moving pretty well since, because naturally enough we can bang a ball, and we being Europeans almost, I think, really.
Well, that's what I remember when we were at Florida State that we mentioned earlier. I remember we went to see the American football stadium, and they took us on a tour, and we got to walk out onto the pitch. And you stand there looking around, you're like, this is a fucking university stadium.
Yeah.
This is bigger than Murrayfield.
Is it not? They have a Super Bowl at one. Is it? I don't know if I think it's Arizona State University. It's got like 130,000 seats. So they had the Super Bowl at a university stadium.
Yeah,
crazy. It's absolutely crazy. What could have been, lads? What could have been?
Yeah.
Is there an upper age limit on these scholarships?
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
there actually isn't. The Australians send lads
there we
over.
go.
There's guys. The only caveat is that because I found figuring this out is like the Aussies send lads over like 32 as freshmen in colleges, and they're just banging balls. But
I'm sure they are.
I thought you were going to say something else there.
Yeah. Whatever happens off the pitch, that's fine. But yeah, that's the class thing. Like I have lads in Ireland that are like 27, 28 that they've never been to college for whatever reason. And as long as you haven't been to college, you haven't used any of your eligibility, so you can go play college sports. So there you go.
Yeah.
So it's ruined it for me. Oh well.
Yeah, that's what you get for being a smart prick.
That's
Talking about hitting balls, so we were obviously knew we were getting you on, so we decided to have a bit of a laugh. And so we all three of us played rugby, all in the backs as well. So Minnie was a scrum half. John, you were centre,
Utility
number
player.
10. Yeah, utility player. You kind of used about. I was more centre, but we all took turns at kicking at one point in our career. So we went up to our rugby pitch, a local pitch, and we recorded ourselves kicking some place kicks. So you are now going to be the judge, jury, and laugh accustoner of watching us take some goals, and you can criticize, judge, and tell me how amazing I look.
Or represent us if you think it's good enough.
No, trust me, not one of us is getting a scholarship out of this. Trust me. I actually pulled a muscle in my thigh doing this, by the way, because I haven't kicked a ball in 10 years and I've been limping about. But anyway, so John, you want to bring up the videos?
All right, I'm going to go with the good.
Just go easy.
Good foot first.
10 years since we've been kicking, but yeah.
Here we go. It's good foot first.
So this is me. So sorry, I meant to say to you. So we took 2 kicks each. So one with our good foot and one with our bad foot. So this is me pretending I know what I'm doing. And it curls in. That's a win.
Oh, you found it. Yeah.
This is John being too cocky.
Where are we at? Or the 22?
Yeah, 22.
Yeah. So those meaty shoulders in the back are many. Oh, wow. What happened there?
Around the corner, big time.
And now Minnie's a lefty.
I'm a lefty. Love it.
Yeah. So
I was just going for sheer brute force here.
And he is the most competitive little prick you'll ever meet in your life. So.
Yeah, look at the breathing going here. There's no banter being had. This is for real.
Easy.
Did you give it to him?
Yeah, that was halfway up the fucking hill when it hit.
Right.
It was. So this is all right.
Is our
left.
Bad foot now.
Oh,
there we go.
It's going there. Jeez, this is ambitious of you after watching your good foot.
Boom!
You caught it. You didn't catch it too bad. And you're in shoes as well, in fairness to you.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they came up with. I came up with joggies and trainers. Look at them; they've got boots and shorts on the.
This boots haven't seen the light of day for about 7 years.
Those
wow.
Tried to be side foot.
How'd you even do that?
Look at those legs. They haven't seen sunshine in a long time either.
Yes, it's hard to tan granite, Ali.
So
here we go. Right peg.
Sorry,
are you coming?
Look at him. He's such a
you take that.
We thought we'd take it back to the 10-meter line. Obviously, because our kicks were so good before, right? So
yeah.
I think this is the one where I pull my thigh muscle. I'm not even joking here. I was like, I'm going to have to give this a little bit extra. So
you do well in American football with your steps there. You're nice and close to the ball. They like that anyway.
Boom, sore thigh.
We head tilt to the side to try and angle so it goes in.
That's from my golfing days where I'm like that. Oh, please get in. I think the problem is we just didn't have the gas.
Here we go.
It's a sweet shot, but it's about 10 yards short.
No, that went over, surely, did not?
Yeah, good one. Good one, Nate. I think you're about 1 out of 10 the whole day. And then here's
Babe.
Mr. Competitive.
You watch the hands going, setting the routine, breath work at play.
There's a reason. There's a reason
You
for
look,
it,
you
though.
look the real deal.
He is the real deal.
Look at that.
Is the
Nailed
real
it from
deal.
You got it?
He
Yeah,
did.
of course I did. Yeah.
Nice.
Apologies, of course you did.
Honestly, I couldn't have hated it more when I seen that going straight.
So I guess the question is, are you interested in any?
Did you see anything you liked?
Was there anything there to work with?
Apart from the big thighs.
You geez, I'll say the most impressive piece of all of that was your weaker foots were better than I thought they'd be. I'll say that in a nice way.
I'll take that.
Your weaker foot. We banged, in fairness, now banged it from the 10. I've missed from the 10 plenty of times. So you as much as you don't want to give him credit, you have to. In fairness, though, you came to play clearly with your. You look like you knew what you were doing with you had the kid on and bit of a routine going there. You're almost into your Wilkinson.
Listen, I don't try anything for a fucking laugh. There's no point, right? So, and plus, see these two guys, if I'd lost that, because I used to kind of be the kicker, if I'd lost that, I would never
fair.
the end of it from those two. So there was no option.
Yeah.
Bragging rights are on the line.
Yeah. I had to try and play a bit cool and not like run about and dive in the mud and all that, but I was relatively happy with a 3 out of 3. So if Georgia are looking for a kicker, just give us a shout. Call my agent. They're the agents.
So, yeah, that was our attempt at dipping our toe into your world, and I don't think we'll be calling you or seeing you ever again. So
I think my boots might go back into the
yeah, exactly. We'll see them in another 10 years. So right. Well, the final thing that we have for you before we wrap up is we have a thing called the speed round. So just 10 questions. Nothing too onerous. You just give your first thing that pops to your head. So you ready to go? It's easy questions. Don't worry. Don't look too
Yeah. No, it's a very bad answer. Questions are.
You've got a free degree. You're going to pass this one. Trust me. So, right. So, question 1: who's your man crush?
Oh, Jesus. Finn Russell. I've got back into rugby. I've got back into rugby and lads class.
Yeah, he is a good one. What would be your alternative career?
Oh, jeez, I'm shy at a lot of things. I'm working in finance. I'm working in finance at the moment, and it couldn't be going worse.
Bankrupt the company the first week.
Yeah, I hope they're not watching. Jesus, what would I get into? Something jitsy, like just. I don't know. I'd find a way. If I get into this is not fast at all, is it? I could see myself I don't know, like traveling some random spot and opening up a bar or a coffee shop or something and just.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Who would play you in a movie of your life?
Oh, God. I get you. What's his name all the time? Prince Harry. I think that's just because I'm ginger. I don't know if that's a good. I don't know if that's a good.
I feel your pain.
That's lazy. That's a lazy comment from
Prince Harry's a pretty good one to get. At least you're not getting like Mick Hucknall or Neil Lennon or something like that.
Ed Sheeran.
Get him.
Unfortunately, Ed Sheeran. I'm like, get that as well.
Yeah.
Damien Lewis, Homeland.
Damien Lewis. That's it. Yeah, he's a good one actually. Right. Prefer cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Weights or cardio?
Weights.
Who would be your favorite superhero?
Oh, well, do you ever lads watch the movie The Replacements and the Welsh kicker? He's not a superhero at all now. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's got this bag and all that.
Yeah, he's more just a legend than a superhero. Anyway, I'll say him if you don't know what I'm talking about. That's what comes to mind.
That's
that fella,
right.
The Replacements, the Welsh fella.
Yeah,
that's a new one on the list anyway. So yeah,
the lad that smokes ciggies.
You get on well. If you're ever in Glasgow, give us a shout. By the way, what was your last fancy dress outfit?
Oh, what was my last fancy dress? Jesus. The Adams Family. My ex-girlfriend inspired. During the Adams Family, just the kind of. I was just a prop.
Fair enough. What is your biggest fear or phobia?
Oh Jesus. It's guess like spiders come to mind, but that's not true at all. So that's not my answer. That's just like just feels like the generic thing. Consider I don't love I fly obviously a lot, but I don't love it.
There's no particular like it. Oh,
three or four times I flight, I'm like, geez, I'm gonna die. Yeah.
Right, remind me not to sit next to you on a plane then. Well, considering your luck, you'd probably land fucking right now $100 bill.
Jessica Alba's house.
Yeah, exactly. The only survivor. Right, if you had a boat, what would you call it?
A boat. Oh Jesus.
That's a tricky one. That.
Yeah, you're making me think here. There's not really much banter, but New Frontiers. It's the slogan of our my kicking thing. It's pioneering new frontiers. So if the business goes well, I'll get a boat and I'll call it New Frontiers. That's ambitious. That's ambitious now, but
there you go.
Yeah,
that's
I like
target.
that though. Yeah.
It's good to have goals in life.
That's it. And then last question: if you were stranded on an island, what 3 items would you take with you?
Oh, that's a tough one as well. You've brought the tough ones out of the box.
I know. Tonight. That's my favorite one, to be fair.
I bring New Frontiers with me.
Boat. Get the fuck off there.
Yeah. But if that's not working, like I'm bad for it on social media, just like kind of looking at stuff. I've gotten not big into TikTok. It's how I help market my coaching. Anyway, I feel like I'm saying my iPhone, which is the most generic answer in the world, isn't it?
It's your 3 items, mate. You take whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, it'd be handy though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. A boat and a phone, yeah, that'd be great. On a stranded island.
And a bit of fuel, and off you go.
QQ Island.
Yeah. A few drinks, obviously, keep myself entertained. If I'm not getting off the island, I may as well have a good time when I'm on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. You're sorted then. There you go. That's you. You passed. Well done. Another degree. You got the back bar degree now.
Sound. Good questions. Maybe think.
Another solid 10 out of 10 on the speed rounds.
That's it. Well, that pretty much wraps it up from ourselves. So, Tadhg, thanks very much. It's been really entertaining, and best of luck with all the ventures.
I'm gonna sneak in one last question. I don't know. It might be the same one you've got, Minnie. I was going to ask, what's your prediction? Just when you said Finn Russell there, what's your prediction for the game?
Like I love watching Scotland play. Like for all the like just the way the lads play. I wouldn't be mad if Scotland won, to be honest, because like they're good at what they do. I think okay, but let me answer the question. I think Ireland will win. But I like them a lot. I kind of get out of rugby for a little bit, and I've gotten back into watching the Six Nations and watching some of the stuff and a lot of Finn Russell's stuff. And I think it's class that you can just like have the ability to play with such freedom, and like definitely, as I talked about the pressure and expectation to perform and all those kind of things. I'm sure he has it to a degree, but like love the fact that like it can like cripple so many lads, and or you don't throw that ball, or you just don't. You play within yourself a little bit. You play the percentages. I definitely remember it wasn't as fun then because you're not. Anyway, I love the fact the lad just like has a crack, but then obviously backs it up with just like ridiculous skill set. So yeah, no, big fan.
Right, it'll be a good one. No, the question I had was, we've got a wee back bar Spotify playlist on the go. So all our guests give us a wee song, so it could be anything that you kind of chill out to, anything that gets you kind of pumped up, ready for a night out. Is there a song in your mind that you'd want to fire on for us?
Oh, for you, I was going to say I listened to a lot of like kind of 90s rap.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah, I listened to like a lot of like all of that. Jesus, I loved doing like all the throwbacks. And now I'm going to say throwbacks. It goes into 2000, but I listened to one. P Diddy, Notorious B.I.G. and kind of Tupac stuff. There's one called Young G's. It's I don't know if it'd be the vibe. I don't know if it'd be the vibe now, but It is whatever that comes to mind. But yeah,
it's a pretty eclectic playlist.
Yeah,
We've got some. It's
everything on that.
Yeah, but late 90s, early 2000s, like rap is right up the street, mate. So that's brilliant. Very young on it.
That's
as we walk into our responsible professional jobs.
Exactly. That's for Monday. Don't worry about that. So, but as I said, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And as I said, all the best with the new job and obviously the foundation and everything like that. Hope it all goes well and wish you the best success.
Yeah. Sound lads, enjoyed that. That was good crack.
Good luck. And if you're ever kicking about in Glasgow, give us a shout. Happy to take you for a beer or two.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'd say that's actually more likely than you think, because as I said, I'm hoping to get my little UK tour. Go top to bottom. So you might get a
100% will be there. So, as long as you don't steal my wife, anyway, so yeah, we'll move on. So anyway, mate, thanks very much.
Cheers, lads. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Thank you.
Is it top lad?
What a great lad. So
a guy. And a new friend for beers.
Yes, that's he looks like he'd be fun on the beer as well.
Yeah.
I'm
quite disappointed that he kind of just laughed at our kicking, if I'm honest.
He didn't give you the gold medal, did he not?
Yeah, I've watched that video of you kicking it 400 times. But I'm so happy with it. So for him just to go, that's not great.
Well, that maybe just shows you what level you're at then, because if he was playing Division 3 and thought that was a low standard and he didn't comment, so I hate to think what division he's putting you in, big guy.
Where do you think I was last night? I was up at White Craigs with a bag of balls.
You think of the comeback guy? It was just like you'll be like the place kicker in rugby, just like sub me on for the kicks.
Someone just faking all the head injury.
So just acknowledge me, Tadhg. Acknowledge me.
Tadhg.
That was good crack. It was good to get back into the swing of things as well.
It is, just regular podcasting attire.
Yeah, and hopefully people will actually enjoy back to the regular ebb and flow of our nonsense.
We'll bring back the real heroes and zeros next time.
Yeah. So there was no heroes in those videos, just heroes.
Oh yeah, it was good. It was actually, to be fair, going up to the rugby pitch and kicking a rugby ball again. It's been
felt good, didn't it?
At least 10 years, but like the juices get going, you're like, oh, I could fucking do this again. And then 30 seconds later, I pulled my thigh muscle. I'm like, nope, I am not doing this again.
See, when you play about and you get the ball and you're just having a wee trot, and I was making sure that none of you were looking, and I was throwing a wee sidestep in, so there was this big defender. And you do that and you go, fucking hell, Martin, that was a decent step. Like, you still
sidestep that bit of mud.
You still have it. It's just
being under
excess layers, right? But we'll get through that.
You're laughing at sidestepping mud. Remember what a divot did to my ankle?
Oh yeah. So
that
bit of mud took you down.
Mud is dangerous.
Don't worry, mate. I embarrassed that divot for you on Saturday.
Thank you, mate.
So don't worry.
I still know exactly where that fucking divot is.
Oh yeah. As I said, it's weird that you just get to a certain age where your brain is telling you that I'm fucking good at this. I can play rugby. I'm gonna be golden. And then your body goes, listen, pal, you just go sit back down and have a wee pint for yourself.
That's it.
No.
You're like, I'm in my prime. Your knees, the fuck you are, big man.
I noticed it more. I was playing fives with the guys from work on Tuesday night. And beforehand, they're all just like hitting shots and like doing spins and all that. And I'm doing a full 10-minute warm up. And they're all like passing, you know, that way, like I'm down stretching my hammy and they're like passing a ball and I'm just letting it go by me. And they're like, what are you doing? I was like, well, this is important to me, right? Like, you young guys with like your really loose muscle fibers, you're fine. This is a cold night. This is serious red flag territory for a guy in my 30s, right? So, and then afterwards, like, I'm walking out and like all my joints, so my hips, my knees, everything's aching. And And they're all just like having a laugh and going, "Oh, it's a shame we can't stay for another hour." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Another hour for this?" I've been looking at that clock since fucking 25 minutes in. Like, so the body's just not there anymore.
Yeah, right now. We'll just be those grumpy spectators, or just shouting at, "Oh, look how fucking unfit he is!" As if we've got pints and fags in our hands. It's like the fucking fitness of these guys is disgraceful.
Aye, thanks, fucking.
What another pie?
I know. As you walk up the hill to the rugby club, like, fucking then we're having a heart attack.
So we need to get a hill lift in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to remember the exact heckle at the players' lunch. We were watching the White Craigs Hills game, and one of the Hills boys like dropped the ball or something, and Minnie, you heckled him, and it was something along the lines of, "Oh, no lobster for you tonight, Farquhar," or something.
The only reason I was doing that is because I had the fucking Anderson brothers beside me. No one's going to come near me there, man. Like, anyone comes over there, they're getting shut down quick, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Aye,
right, we are going to bring this to our wrap. Right, gentlemen, thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure. We'll catch up in due course.
Yeah.
Peace.
Guys, take care.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.